We now have a really exciting session with Mr. Bruno Goveas on strategies for doing business in a hyper-connected world. Bruno is the Director of Products, APAC, Akamai Technologies. He's been with Akamai since 2004, leading identification and execution of key product initiatives. He has over 14 years of experience in the high-tech industry, having held various positions in product management, marketing, engineering, and general management. Thank you.
What's that? Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll just wait for them to set up the presentation and the clicker. So just give us a few minutes. Okay. Sure. Okay. So it was a really engaging panel discussion, and there were a couple of topics there were good discussions on there. One was actually user experience, user engagement, and then there was a question from the audience on security. As you see, when I go over the strategies and solutions that commerce companies consider, these are some of the things I'll be touching upon as well, which is good because it's resonating and top of mind. So, you know, maybe I use this opportunity to just get a show of hands on how many of y'all in the audience here are, you know, working in e-commerce companies, commerce companies. I'm just, can I get a show of hands? Yeah, so pretty much half the audience, and I guess the other half are, you know, folks like us, you know, technology providers, partners, vendors of them. So maybe another question. How many of y'all are familiar with Akamai and what we do? Great. So again, about 50% or. Why don't I do this? I'll just get started, or just still getting the presentation up. And maybe, so just to set a baseline for the others, Akamai is, you know, a leading cloud platform. What we really do at a very high level is we make the internet work for commerce companies. And by that, what I mean is we offer them the value prop that is expected to successfully do business online, which is ensure that you know, the users get a really fast experience, ensure it's scalable, it's secure, and always available. And so the way we do this is we have this really massively distributed platform that's very ubiquitous. And so what that enables us to do is deliver locally. So by that I mean, if there's your data center is situated, let's say in Bangalore or Mumbai, but your users are in a tier 2 city, they get the experience that the site that they're engaging with is right next to them, one hop, very near to them. And to give you a sense of how distributed we are, even in India, we are spread across 70 locations in pretty much in all the tier 1 and tier 2 ISVs. And that's what enables us to accelerate and secure your content so that the users get a really good user experience. And because we do this, the value prop to e-commerce companies, as you heard in the panel as well, is we enable you to take away a lot of the complexities that come with online delivery and reaching multiple channels and security, so that you can then focus on the customer and products and services that you want to build to reach out to them. So it's no surprise that pretty much all the top commerce companies in the world ride on this platform. We enable them to drive business and become successful online. And the primary things that we offer commerce companies is clearly making the website fast, instant access, instant end user experience. Clearly security is another. The agility to try the business models, customize, you know, take advantage of new opportunities, and clearly by far protection. So that's paramount for a lot of commerce companies, and which is why we are a very key technology partner. Now, coming back to the topic here, right? Strategies and solutions for the hyper-connected world. First, let's set a baseline. Hyper-connectivity means a lot of different things to a lot of people. In this particular context, and specifically for e-commerce companies, I'm referring to things you already know, which is clearly an explosion of devices. So from all of these devices, There's a lot of data and a lot of traffic that's being consumed online. And not surprisingly, because a lot of dollars and a lot of money is moving online, there's a lot of security and there's a lot of risk and issues with protection that you have to deal with. This is the hyper-connected world that e-commerce companies are dealing with when they're trying to reach their audiences and make money. So this is what we used to be before. Even if you think about your origin, everything used to be managed and done by the company itself. And then you had pretty much a uniform user who you could cater to, and no longer the case. This is just a snapshot of the number of devices that access one application in Facebook. And this is similar to probably the experience that you people have as well. And the devices itself different. The type of applications and browsers that you use from those devices also vary. And not only that, the connections, the endpoints from where your users come from is staggering, right? It could be a wireless, it could be 3G, it could be 4G, it could be your cable, your landline, variety of different things. So what this combination of devices to networks to the different applications makes what we today call the web situational. Even in this very same room, all of you are accessing a particular commerce site because of the fact that you're accessing it from different devices, different browsers, and different networks will require a different experience. And why is that? Clearly, it depends on what you're using, right? So this is one of the complexities you have to overcome to be successful. Why? Because there's a lot of opportunity. If you overcome this, you will get to reach a lot more users, which is what commerce companies always try to do, right? That is why the online channel is very appealing. And what do all of these connected users do? Clearly, from a commerce standpoint, I of course want to purchase my product very conveniently. I of course want to get information. I want to get directions. But clearly, what does the vast majority of them want? No surprises here. Yeah? This is something that people have already been talking about. They need a really great user engagement. For that, your site has to be fast, no matter where the person is, which device it is. And what's more, so that's on the consumer side. What's happening to the origin? And we heard from the panelists today. It depends on the commerce customer, but one thing is definitely certain. The sites are getting more complex. Why? You want to tailor your experience, make it rich, make it personalized. Images are there. You want a really engaging visual experience, just like a store. It's getting more complex, more JavaScripts, more third-party providers, recommendation engines, Twitter, social media, you name it. So the site itself is getting complex, and you need to ensure that all of this gets delivered instantly. Now, this is something we all know, right? There's the end user studies that have clearly showed that there's a direct correlation to page load times and abandonment rate. Longer the load time, higher the chances of abandonment. What does that mean for you? Less revenue, less brand, someone goes to competition. And this was actually an interesting study done by Walmart. It's actually public facing, where they commissioned a study to look at real user data, Walmart's own data, and they found a direct correlation to page load times and conversions. Faster the site, better the conversions. So this is something that is even more important now in this hyper-connected world, considering the plethora of devices and the locations from which someone can consume your content. Now that's one. So now we all understand one of the complexities that you have to deal with. What's the other one? No surprise, security. E-commerce companies are one of the prime targets. Why is it? Because a lot of money is moving there. If you're down, just think of the publicity, think of the brand impact, the revenue loss. It's no surprise that it's a big target. Now, how do we know this? Akamai powers, as you saw, a lot of, pretty much all the top online platforms, even a lot of them in India. And this is what we're seeing. DDoS attacks are on the rise. And because all of those customers are on Akamai. What we're also seeing is Attacks are getting very sophisticated, they're increasing in number, and they're coming from everywhere. However, this cannot slow down, right? This is not an option. We have to deal with this and get ahead of security attacks to be successful. Now, from the trends that we have observed over the past few years, attacks are definitely getting sophisticated. They just target not just the network layer, but also the DNS, the application layer, and they're very sophisticated in the sense that they do recon, try out spidering and different methods to determine, okay, this is a target, this is vulnerable, and then it's not that they attack right away. They wait for the opportune moment. So it's extremely, extremely sophisticated, which is why you also need to have the right solution in place to stay ahead of these guys. So the solutions, now what I'm going to talk about is, clearly these are the two predominant things that are top of mind of commerce customers, and many of them have put in solutions in place, and a lot of them are planning to put solutions in place. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to talk about what these solutions are. And from my experience, in talking to you, all of y'all, it's a lot easier to explain this in the form of a case study, right? And so what I'm going to do here is, clearly there are a lot of providers, Akamai being one of those, that offer these type of solutions. I'm going to use Akamai as a case study and talk about how commerce companies are benefiting by deploying these types of strategies and solutions to overcome all of these challenges and complexities and take advantage of the opportunities. Now, the first off is the benefit of having a distributed platform, right? Like I said, it's extremely ubiquitous, so it's one hop away from your order and from your end users. And what we do is apply a lot of different optimizations right across the entire network, end to end, from what we call the first mile between the origin and the edge, then the middle mile, and the last mile, which is the edge of the Akamai network to the different users. And this is constantly evolving. In fact, now a lot of the optimizations that we do is what is in the last mile, because that's where most of the bottleneck is. Now what's key here is, you have to do this dependent on the situation in real time. That's the key value. We're able to apply intelligent optimizations for that particular situation. And the benefit to commerce companies is clearly performance, the availability, and the offload, right? So let's look at some situations. And I've taken examples of retail customers. Clearly you have highly dynamic transactional sites. A platform like Akamai can give you tremendous offload from your infrastructure, even if it's dynamic content right to the north of 90%. So think of 90% of the requests that you actually handle on your backend infrastructure, origin infrastructure, is actually distributed and happening very close to your user, one hop away. Just think of the user experience and the cost impact. That's one. What about performance? So we've been in this business for a decade, and before we used to offer what was called acceleration technologies, right? So when you apply acceleration, your performance is pretty damn good. If you look at this, the histogram, it's about 4 seconds, which is not bad if you look at the survey. With the recent improvements, just to take advantage of overcoming all the challenges with these multiple devices and all the complexities that come with the optimizations in the front, when you apply all of those intelligently, the performance improves dramatically. Now you can see it's almost at the 2-second mark, which is getting you closer to the goal and the demands that customers like you are making to us to provide instant access. This is a big component of user engagement, right? Instant access can really improve engagement time, and then everything else falls through. And what we also do is, just to show you the testament that optimizations need to be applied intelligently, you can see the impact dependent on the different browsers. And the same thing applies for devices and the others. And I wanted to highlight a couple of recent innovations that we're doing. One is on the images side. a lot of commerce companies have really rich images, no surprises, right? That gives a really good engagement. What we're able to do is automatically optimize the fidelity of the image without changing, compromising on it, so that the user gets access to visually view it very fast, but we will optimize the quality depending on the network. Similarly, we are applying a lot of optimizations in real time in the front end. What acceleration does is, as you deliver your content, it's like a waterfall. We shrink the waterfall, but with optimizations applied intelligently, you actually are able to shrink it even more. What that means is, especially for connected devices, the ability to get content really instantly. All right, so I'll quickly move on because I have time, and I'll focus on things that really matter. Now, the other thing that commerce companies, you guys have asked us, and which is something keep valuing, saying, I understand that I need to use a provider like you. I want to offload off the complexity. How do I know how my users are doing? And before, till today, what we had, and this is really important, was synthetic measurements, right? And that's important because you need to benchmark to see how you're doing. And what that doesn't give you, though, is how is your actual end user performing? This is what Akamai has now come up with, the ability for you to determine the performance of your actual end user from the device they're using, from the location they're using. So you can slice and dice the data, and as is very typical in India, you can determine, hey, this is a really important segment for me, Android users or iPhone users, or you can even break it down by the different geographies or segments, and you can say, if this is a primary segment, are my performance expectations being met? So that's performance. That's one of the key things that's top of mind. Now let's talk about security. The good thing is, when you have a solution like this in place, it inherently also has the advantage of enabling to secure your site and applying what is today the optimal security architecture to protect your commerce sites. So let me illustrate with that with an example, right? So when you use a provider like Akamai, all the traffic that is being served to your users are being done from the edge of the internet, very close to the end user, not to the source. So what happens is, we provide you the ability to apply your security policies, which you have on the data center, all the way to the edge. So that means we are able to determine if a request is legitimate or not right at the source, and we will only send legitimate traffic back to the backend. So we are the first line of defense that are able to provide you the necessary protection and the mechanisms to determine if there's an attack or not very, very early on. And so the nice thing with this is, it complements your existing solutions. You don't have to rip out anything. You certainly need to secure your data center. But what Akamai provides you is the ability to apply a cloud layer that enables you to ensure that you have the scale to determine and mitigate attacks at the source. And like with performance, you will have the visibility. You will get the analytics to say, where am I getting attacked from? What's happening? And take real-time decisions. Let me give you an example to illustrate why this is important, because I keep getting this question all the time. I'm in India, I care only about my users here, why should I worry? You should worry, and here's the reason why. The reason attacks are very prominent is because there is no jurisdiction. You can launch it from anywhere. Here was a very important customer of Akamai's that has legitimate businesses in Nigeria as well, and Nigeria is actually known for all of these, a lot of attacks. There was an attack that originated all the way from Nigeria. And keep in mind, this was actually SSL traffic. Akamai has the ability to terminate SSL at the edge, inspect the content, determine if it's legitimate or not, and deny it. And so in real time, the customer didn't have to do anything. Their business went on, continued. We just provided them the visibility saying, here's what's happening, here's what we did. So it's very important that to protect your local customers, even if you're targeting a particular niche geography, to have this cloud layer so that you can block the attacks at the source and not worry about this. All right? So let's go. Now, it's no surprise that because we offer these solutions, Akamai actually pretty much powers the commerce internet. A lot of commerce companies ride on these platforms because we're able to offload all of these complexities when it comes to delivery, when it comes to performance, so that you can then focus on your consumers, understanding their behavior, and driving a lot of products and services. Whenever I go to speak with my customers, there is no dearth of ideas. And I heard that even on the panel. There are so many things to do. Would you rather build new services and products for customers to get more revenue and more channels, or you worry about delivery and security? The best solution, as you've heard, is, although they say it depends, almost always use a trusted partner to solve all of these problems, because I can't solve your user value proposition in terms of products and services. So the biggest benefit that Akamai gives commerce companies as a trusted partner is the ability for you to have the agility and optimize your resources and have them focus on things that matter to drive your revenue. And our vision for you all is to continue. This is what you keep asking us, right? I want to be able to provide personalized experience. Any type of experience I demand, I want Akamai to deliver. We can do that for any user that you want to, any device, anywhere. So we have a booth out there. We have a big team here. I'm happy to take questions offline because I don't think we can do anything now, considering that we're running out of time. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you all offline. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bruno. That was really incredible.